Hi, I'm Michelle, and I feel like I'm in a vulnerable position speaking about my digital visual culture because I have not wholly embraced technology and I don't use very many apps or programs. My digital visual culture is very limited compared to most people, and certainly many of today's students. I appreciate the convenience of technology, especially when I'm designing, but I don't know how to use a lot of programs or design programs. In undergraduate school in about 1995, I had a Photoshop class, and I had a lot of difficulty getting used to not only using a computer, but with the design process. I'm a very tactile person, so I prefer to have a book or something physical, like I use a physical calendar, and I really like paper. So I'm the one that shows up to meetings with my notebook instead of my laptop. My digital visual experience was mainly TV and movies, definitely a generational thing, but I love to see a book come to life through film. So I appreciate all the aspects of technology. I love imagery and the access to so much imagery through technology, and I love seeing the things that people are creating. There's a wonderful sense of community out there that with the online presence of art education groups, I belong to a lot of groups that are great for sharing lessons and connecting and finding ideas. I use technology mainly to research and create presentations. Connecting globally and the speed that we're able to connect is something that is just monumental in today's world. It's an especially important technology for an art educator to broaden the spectrum of exposure to art around the world and artists. I'm really crazy about fonts, and the unlimited access to new versions is another incredible resource, among others. I'm just not comfortable using it in other ways. I do recognize that I could probably make my life a lot easier if I could tackle some programs and some tools, but it just always seems to be really difficult for me. And then that's when the time factor comes in, because if I can ask someone to help do something, it's a lot quicker than if I'm trying to do it myself. I'm a frequent YouTube user for everything from exercise videos to tutorials for everything, or lesson visuals. However, I'm often overwhelmed by technology and easily become overstimulated from the constant videos and pop-ups and links. If I'm reading something, links sometimes distract me from what I'm actually trying to read and process. But Instagram is something that I use quite a bit. It's also great for visual people. Phones are definitely indispensable for people these days. They're helpful in so many ways, but the constant distraction that they provide is worrisome to me. I lived without TV for a long time during my 20s, and so I find it refreshing when I'm able to go out into nature, or if I'm in a place without cell service and I don't need my phone. Sorry, that was my dog. And I use screenshots a lot on my phone. I'm able to capture visuals that I want to come back to, or save important thoughts or documents that inspire me, but sometimes the amount of what's coming in is just too much. There's so much out there in the world being shared that it often forces people to disconnect and temporarily disconnect and kind of regroup. I don't necessarily tap into today's pop culture, the constant scrolling and video reels, and here I'm thinking about my own children, and but it's a new type of interaction with one another that I know as an educator and as a parent that that's the reality of their world. So it's our responsibility as an educator to help guide them and make sense of the visual culture that they are exposed to. The emojis on the phone are part of pop culture that I think are helpful when you're texting and you want to try to convey the mood of your text. But it's important for us to be informed about visual digital culture and offer those perspectives and help students or kids these days understand the visuals in different contexts. It's frightening to me, the amount of access to everything and the impact that negative imagery can have on society, but it's definitely a fact of life today, and so that's why it is so important for us to talk about it, especially in art education. I sometimes wrestle with the seriousness of art ed, of my craft, art history, versus the silliness of some of the popular culture that speaks to kids these days. And for that, I envy the younger generation of teachers who can embrace AI and digital creation. It doesn't always resonate with me, but I appreciate that it is how our students are learning and the relevance in today's society. I know that when I'm designing, I know how I want things to look, but then I find it very difficult trying to implement the tools or the program to get to what I'm looking for. In the summer course, it was EDN 595. I had to do a digital design, and I chose a really simple program called Artweaver. And I was very surprised by the visceral reactions that that came out while I was working, because I was so intimidated and frustrated, and I wasn't able to achieve the looks of the things that I was trying to do online. It did, however, afford me the opportunity to empathize with students when they're learning something new, and they often feel frustrated when they can't create what they think they want to create. But it came with so many complex emotions and self-doubt. So I can say without a doubt that I am a consumer of digital visual culture rather than a contributor, unless you count the presentations and slideshows, visuals that I create for students. So in my own way, I guess I am a type of contributor, just maybe not the type that taps into pop culture so much. I think learning and connecting and collaborating are the greatest assets that technology provide for me personally. So I do struggle, and I feel very vulnerable or intimidated by technology. Thanks.